bienvenue. Merci de nous avoir rejoints pour cette rubrique cybersécurité. Aujourd'hui, j'ai le plaisir de recevoir Chelsey SLACK. Good afternoon, Chelsey.
Good afternoon.
Thanks to be with us today.
My pleasure.
So you are a policy officer, cyber defense section in NATO. NATO is a key player committed to cybersecurity and cyber defense issues. So could you tell us what are NATO's commitments?
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Melanie, and it's a real pleasure to be able to speak with you. Technology is at the heart of our modern day societies, and it's very much at the heart of our militaries as well. And so thinking at NATO on cyber defense has really evolved rapidly in the last years, and it's gone from being seen purely as a technical issue to now one that's really part and parcel of NATO's strategic reality. And so in that sense, cyber defense is part of NATO's raison d'être, so collective defense as an organization of collective defense. And just to recall, NATO's mandate in this area is twofold. That's the protection of NATO networks, including our operations and missions, as well as enhancing cyber resilience across the alliance as a whole. Now, in terms of the latest priorities and developments, the two main ones I would point to both date from 2016 at the NATO summit in Warsaw. And the first is the Cyber Defense Pledge, where at the highest level, heads of state and government committed to enhancing the resilience of their national cyber defenses as a matter of priority. So over the last year, allies have been implementing this cyber defense pledge, and we've really seen, I think, progress and a value added in three areas. The first is the pledge has been used as a tool to gain strategic level attention to the issue, including investment in resources as well as financial and human. Second is that the pledge has really helped allies to bring together the different stakeholders working on cyber defense across an administration. So many different facets coming together as a coordinated approach. And third, it's really put cyber defense in a broader national context. So the broader efforts of cybersecurity more generally that a state takes to. So that's the pledge. Now we've been working to enhance the resilience of our allies, but NATO as an organization has also needed to take steps to ensure it's fit for purpose for the 21st century security challenges we face. So the second big development at the Warsaw Summit was the recognition of cyberspace as a domain of operations. And here, NATO's defensive mandate in cyber defense was reaffirmed, but there was also a recognition that we need to be operating in a potentially degraded or contested cyber environment. So what have we been doing? Well, we've been looking at the way we plan, the way we train, the way we equip, and generally organize ourselves so that we're ready to operate successfully in this space. And I would add, so you can see we've taken some steps both for allies but then also NATO, but we very much recognize that cyber defense is a team sport. So we cannot be doing this on our own, which is why NATO and the alliance places real emphasis on cooperative security. So working with other international organizations, with partner countries, with industry, academia, to help build more stability in this space that's quite rapidly evolving.
Let's talk about the cooperation between NATO and European Union. Technical agreements have been already signed.
Yes.
Could you tell us more details about that, and with which countries did you sign these agreements?
Absolutely. NATO-EU cooperation, it's not a new thing. It's been going on for quite a few years, but what I would say is there's definitely a new impetus for our cooperation. We say that it's no longer the exception, but it's rather the norm in Brussels that we are cooperating so closely. And I'd point mostly to the security environment for that. I mean, really with recent global cyber incidents, WannaCry, NotPetya, it really necessitates this cooperation among these two organizations. So three areas I would say in general. The first that we've been working to accomplish obviously is information sharing. And here indeed in 2016 a first of its kind technical arrangement was signed between the incident response communities, so the CERTs, of both NATO and the European Union. So this very much facilitates cooperation at the operational level. And what have been some of the impacts after more than a year of implementing this technical arrangement? Well, really we see better situational awareness, so better ideas of the threat picture, of what's going on, and we've also added a real-time element to it. You know, the cyberspace moves very fast, so our response needs to as well. So the EU, the CERT EU has been made part of NATO's malware information sharing platform, so a very concrete tool that helps to facilitate this information exchange so that we're better informed and so better prepared. The second area is training and education. We're reinforcing the training and education in order to build our skills. The human component is very important of cyber defense, as we know. You can have all the technology that you want, but that human dimension still remains key. So we've been looking with the European Union at the different courses that are available. Can we open courses to one another, mutual trainings, participation? Where are there gaps? So really working on this training, education, and awareness element. And last but not least, I would say that we've been intensifying cooperation on exercises so that we're better prepared to deal with cyber threats, cyber attacks as if they occur. And here, the Secretary General of NATO was able to participate in the recent informal EU Defense Ministers meeting in Estonia, where there was, for the first time, a strategic tabletop exercise on Cybrid. So that's an example, once again, engagement at the strategic level and exercising in a very practical way. Currently, right now, in Estonia, once again as I speak, NATO has its flagship cyber defense exercise going on, Cyber Coalition, and here we're very pleased that for the first time the European Union cyber defense staff are participating in the exercise. Before they were observers, but we've since upgraded the status, and also for the first time NATO has been invited to observe the EU's exercise Cyber Europe in 2018. So here you see really at the practical level trying to enhance that cooperation further.
Just final question, Chelsey. Yes. What are next steps for 2018-2019 for NATO in cyber defense?
For NATO in cyber defense, well, as I mentioned, work is underway for the Cyber Defense Pledge. So allies continue to implement that, and we're going to be expecting another report on the findings of this implementation, likely ahead of the NATO summit that's scheduled to take place in July. So very much, once again, working on enhancing national resilience among allies. At the NATO level, of course, continuing to implement the decision to recognize cyberspace as a domain of operations. So we have a roadmap. It's a 3-year roadmap that has a number of different activities, from doctrine to exercises to training. So we're really looking at that, and we'll be continuing to implement that in the coming months. And of course, this important pillar of cooperation, NATO EU. And one point I would say that we're looking at further as another area where we could be doing more together is in crisis management. Unpredictability, uncertainty, very much the norm in our security environment at the moment. So recognizing this, NATO has been working to integrate cyber aspects into its crisis management processes for dealing with incidents as they come up. We know that the recent EU cybersecurity package as well contains several elements around this idea of response and de-escalation. So we would very much like to be sharing best practices, looking at the different tools in the toolbox of the respective organizations, and seeing where we can build synergies, of course in the spirit of complementarity, because that governs our approach more generally.
Thank you very much, Chelsey.
Thank you very much, Melanie. A pleasure.
Merci à tous de nous avoir suivis. Restez connectés pour suivre les prochaines interviews, toujours dédiées à la cybersécurité.